As the sun shines on all of my glory, my flaws don't look so bad at all. What was I so afraid of?
Hey everybody, it's Sharmel. Welcome back to Loc'd Lifestyle. Welcome back to another video. So if you enjoy lock content, lifestyle content, and self-help and self-development content, then make sure to hit that subscribe button because I do a little bit of all of that. But today I am back with my 2-month update for these Mermaid Boho Locs. So let's get right into it. So if you are new to my channel or unfamiliar with my lock journey, I will do a quick recap. So I started my locks in 2020. I've been locked for almost 3 years now. Throughout my journey, I have experimented quite often. I love to try new styles. And then as of recently, back in April, I installed these like permanent boho mermaid locks. I feel like they're called a variety of things, but yes, I did this style, and I basically took a bundle of like curly hair and I just crocheted to the ends of my already pre-existing locks. I do have a full tutorial on this style, which I will have linked down in the description box. In any video that I talk about relating to this style, I will also have it referenced and linked down in the description box. The hair that I used was a bundle of raw Southeast Asian curly hair. I will have where I purchased down in the description box. Again, if you want more details about the install process, go check out that video. But that's just like a quick recap of how I achieved this look. Now, as far as this update goes, so if you have been watching this journey with the mermaid locks, you will know that they looked a lot different when I first installed them. So there has been some changes this second month. So the most obvious one is that I cut it and I colored it dark. I did do a whole video on that. That will be linked down below as well. So I talked about it in the video where I showed you guys me cutting it. But basically, when I first installed it, I used 16-inch bundles. And although it was really pretty in that longer length, I just felt like it didn't do anything for like me personally, my bone structure, my facial features, and all of that. I didn't like the way that it framed my face. I didn't like the way that the long hair just kind of was one length. I didn't wear it down that often just because, again, I didn't like how it framed my face. Oftentimes I would pull it in like half up, half down, or a ponytail or some kind of style because I really didn't like how it felt. So yeah, I decided to cut it and add just some layers to it, and I love this cut. I think that this is just like the perfect length, just again for me. Nothing wrong with the long length, but I just felt like it wasn't very complimenting to my face in me. So yeah, I went ahead and cut it, and then after I cut it, I just felt like it would look a lot better in a darker color. And honestly, I was getting kind of bored and tired of the lighter color. Like, y'all know I did light hair all last year and I loved it. I did the highlights and the blonde and the brown, and I loved that look, and I felt like I was trying to recreate that feeling, but I just felt like I had to leave it where it was at. That was for a moment, and yeah, I just felt like the dark hair would suit this look a lot better, and I was just kind of ready to go back to dark hair. So that's like the main difference and change this month is just the cut. I will also say, if you are interested in recreating like the mermaid lock look, I feel like loose hair to lock ratio is something that I didn't take into consideration when I first attempted this style. Like, I knew I didn't want super long bundles. That's why I went with 16 inches. But even then, like adding the 16 inches on my, you know, my natural locks fall like right here. So adding an additional 16 inches, I just felt like it was too much loose hair, and I really like the way it looks now. Yeah, I don't know, I think something about just having a little bit of curl compared to just like a lot, I just feel like it looks better. It's not mandatory that you use like short bundles for your curly ends if that's not what you want, but I will say take into consideration like the length of your natural locks plus the length of the bundles that you're gonna use. I feel like those play a factor in how the style looks overall. If I ever decide to redo this look again, I would definitely go with a shorter inch bundle, so like an 8-inch or a 10-inch, and even then I would still go in and cut it and shape it so that it kind of falls to my preference, how I like. So I talked about maintenance in my last update. Maintenance is really not that bad considering that you're working with 2 different textures. In general, I take my detangler brush. I prefer to detangle the curls when they're dry, and I'll just comb them out, get out any major kinks, and then My regular maintenance for my locks is to spray them with water and oil it. And so I spray my locks with water, and I'll make sure to spray the ends, scrunch the ends, and that is the maintenance. So maintenance in general with this style is pretty simple. But now since I cut it, I feel like it's even more manageable and easier to work with. I don't have all that extra loose hair hanging. And when you don't deal with loose hair for a long time, it is an adjustment when you start dealing with it again. So having that long hair in my face and on my neck, and just, it started to become a lot. So I do like this length. Again, it's a lot more manageable and just easy to work with. My last update too, I talked a lot about shedding. I have been very vocal about the shedding with this style since I installed it. So I was able to fix the shedding. I did a video on it. I basically created DIY K-tips, and I touched up the ends of my hair because the shedding was horrible. Literally every time I would touch my hair, it would shed. When I would do anything, it would shed. When I washed it the first couple of times, I lost so much hair in shedding. And yeah, I was almost at my wit's end with the style, but I ended up doing DIY K-tips, and I touched up my hair, and that seemed to fix the major shedding problem. I touched up the shedding maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago, and since then shedding has decreased significantly. So it didn't fix it completely. I still get a little shedding here and there, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before. And I think too, the hair that I am shedding is just a part of the first batch of hair that I kind of crocheted through. So like, obviously if I'm being super rough and pulling on it, I am going to get a little bit of hair here and there. I feel like shedding is just part of dealing with loose hair. But before, it was just coming out like every time I would touch my hair. If I would do anything, if I do that, I probably have some hair shedding. So it's not shedding like that anymore. So if you are interested in the mermaid look, I would recommend going the K-tip route instead of just crocheting the loose hair in by itself. So as much as I love this hairstyle, the thing that I don't like about it is the in-between retwist phase. And like within the last 6 to 8 months, I have really grown to like just enjoy my locks without a retwist. With these mermaid locks, y'all, I feel like the in-between retwist phase, it gets a little hectic. So a big part of what makes this style is like the combination of different textures. So you have your locks, and then you have like the curly ends. But in between retwists, when I have like an afro, then locks, then the curly ends, it just be a lot going on sometimes. And so I feel like that in-between stage is kind of interesting to navigate. So yeah, I don't really like that part of it. Like I feel like I have to style it or do something to make it look okay. I would either like do ponytail looks or half up, half down, something where I can kind of tame my roots a little bit. Or I did a braid out, which looked really good for the in-between retwist phase, because yeah, the roots, it'd just be a lot. I do think at this length with less of the loose hair, it doesn't look as bad. I did kind of do a soft retwist on my hairline, but y'all can see my roots is rooting in the back. But I will say at this length with less of the curly ends, the in-between retwist phase, it's not that bad. But when I had like the longer length, it was too much going on. And then lastly, I just want to answer a few questions that I keep seeing pop up here on YouTube and on some of my other platforms. So removal, I feel like I talk about the removal process in every video, but I'll reiterate it again because that's something that people keep asking. How do you remove these? Y'all, you gonna cut it, or you can comb it out. Again, this is more of a permanent long-term wear style. You don't have to keep it in forever. You don't have to keep it in for long term, but this is not a style that you do one day and then take out the next day and then do again the next day. So if you gonna do it, at least plan to wear it at least, I say, for a month before you remove it. But to remove it, you will have to cut or comb out your locks. So you can cut like right where the loose hair starts and then comb it out, or you can just go ahead and cut off the entire tip of your lock. The choice is yours. Whatever your preference is, that is on you. I did cut one of mine because I was just curious myself too, and I felt like I could also show you guys. So I basically just cut off the tip, and this is what my lock looks like. I know that people have questions about like damage and if your locks will still be healthy afterwards and all of that, and y'all, literally you just go ahead and cut it, and my lock it's still the same. Now obviously it's gonna be a little shorter after I cut it, like you guys can see compared to this one, but it's okay. It's not that much shorter. So yes, to remove them, you'll either have to cut them or comb them out. And then another question I've seen a few times is, how soon into your lock journey can you do this style? And I will say it depends. And the reason I say it depends is because I feel like we all go into our lock journeys for our own personal reasons, and so I really feel like it depends, like with your long-term goals for your locks and your lock journey. So first things first, if you are going to achieve this style, then you want to make sure that your starter locks are at least locked. If your starter locks still look like coils or 2-strand twists, or they just have a little bit of budding, a little bit of frizz, you will want to hold off until your hair has actually locked, because once you crochet the loose hair into the ends of your locks, if your hair is not locked enough, the loose hair is going to slide out. It's not going to stick. It doesn't have anything to adhere to. So I think that's a pretty basic standard. If you're going to achieve this style, you at least want to make sure that your hair is locked enough to hold on to the loose hair. If you don't really have any long-term goals for your locks and you want to experiment early on, you can do it. You will most likely have to go the instant lock route to achieve it. If your hair is not completely locked yet, you will more than likely have to instant lock your natural hair, so that when you crochet the loose hair onto it, again, the loose hair will stick. But what I will say, if you start doing too much manipulation to your starter locks too soon, it can affect how they lock in the long run. You can potentially mess up like your base, the sturdiness, the thickness, and things like that if you manipulate on your locks too soon. If you do have long-term goals for your locks and your goal eventually is to have long, healthy, traditional locks, I would say wait at least a year before you start to do any like permanent manipulation to your locks. I know y'all see me, I experiment a lot on my channel, but I still waited a year and a half before I started doing like any type of like heavy manipulation to my locks, because I personally wanted to give my locks time to at least come into themselves, to see how my locks will look, how they're gonna form, the size that they naturally will be. I wanted to make sure I allowed that process to happen first before I did anything too crazy, because like I said, if you manipulate on your locks too soon, it can affect the overall shape and health and sturdiness of your locks in the long run. And I think too, because I allowed my locks to grow naturally first, that's one of the reasons why I'm able to cut it, and like you guys can see, I still have a nice, you know, healthy traditional lock. So when I am ready to get rid of this style, it doesn't affect my locks overall. Like again, I have to cut the ends, but my locks themselves are still intact. So again, it's preference, and it's all about what your goal is for your locks. If you don't really care and you just want the style, go ahead and do it. But if your goal is to have long, healthy, traditional locks in the end, I would say at least wait a year to allow your locks to mature enough on their own. But that's pretty much it for this 2-month update on my mermaid locks. I'll give you guys a quick little texture shot to show you guys how they're looking. I feel like it looks a lot fuller at this length too. But yeah, y'all, that's all I really got for this update. I still don't know how long I'm gonna keep these in. When I first did it, I told you guys that I wanted to wear it through the summer, but now that I've had it already for 2 months, I don't know if I'll make it through the entire summer. I will say though that this cut kind of like rejuvenated the look for me, because I was kind of over it for a minute before I cut it. So I may be able to get through the summer now that it's been cut, but y'all know me. Who knows? But that's gonna be it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social media platforms, and I will see you beautiful people in my next video. Bye.